The disappearance of Timothy J Pitzen. 6-year-old Timothy lived with his parents, James Pitzen and Amy Joan Marie Fry-Pitzen, in Aurora, Illinois, at the time of his disappearance. He is their only child. Without informing anyone of her plans, Amy took Timothy out of his kindergarten class at Greenman Elementary School on the morning of May 11, 2011. From there, Amy and her 6-year-old son, Timothy, began an unexpected 3-day road trip. They were first captured on camera at the Brookfield Zoo in Illinois. After that, they traveled to the Key Lime Cove Resort, where they spent the night. Meanwhile, Timothy's father, James Pitzen, reported Timothy and Amy missing after he went to pick up Timothy from kindergarten and found out his mother had taken him. He called her cell phone numerous times but got no answer. The next day, Amy and Timothy traveled to the Kalahari Water Park Resort in Wisconsin Dells. Surveillance footage from the water park the next morning shows them both waiting in line to check out. Shortly after, at around 1:30 p.m., Amy called several of her family members and friends and explained that she and Timothy were fine. Timothy could be heard in the background and sounded normal, saying only that he was hungry. This was the last time anyone heard from him. At 7:25 p.m., Amy was sighted at a Family Dollar store in Winnebago, Illinois, where she purchased stationery, but this time, she was alone. She then traveled to the nearby Sullivan's Foods, where she alone was spotted on a security camera. Her final journey was around 11:15 p.m., when she checked into the Rockford Inn in Rockford, Illinois. The next day, at 12:30 p.m., she was found dead by the inn's employees. She had taken her own life by ingesting an overdose of antihistamines and had slit her wrists. Amy left a note and 2 letters in the mail, one to her mother and one to a friend, saying that Timothy was fine and with people who cared about him, but she didn't name those people. One of her notes said no one would ever find him. Her cell phone was missing. Other items were also missing, including Timothy's Spider-Man backpack, his toys, and clothes, the clothes that Amy was wearing when she checked out of the Kalahari Resort, a tube of Crest toothpaste, and an iPass transponder. Amy's mother has said that she did suffer from depression, but she was not a crazy person and never acted bizarrely. Investigators believe Amy may have been planning Timothy's disappearance for months. As of now, Timothy is still missing, and the case remains unsolved. In April 2019, residents of Newport, Kentucky, noticed a distressed teenager running across a bridge and called the police. The boy claimed he was Timothy Pitzen, a missing child, but the FBI soon announced that he was not Timothy. The man was actually 23-year-old Brian Michael Reaney, who had just been released from prison. He had previously served time for burglary and vandalism and was known to have mental health issues. Reaney's false claim disappointed everyone, especially as the search for the real Timothy continued. He was later sentenced to 2 years in prison for the hoax. Trevor Dy Trevor Dy was born on August 15, 1978, in Noss, Ireland, to parents Michael and Anne. He is the youngest of 4 siblings. After leaving the Waterford Institute of Technology, he took a computer course in Dublin. In May 1999, Trevor started working in the IT department at Bank of Ireland Asset Management on Leeson Street. In 2000, 22-year-old Trevor Dy was employed at the Bank of Ireland Asset Management in Dublin. On the evening of December 7th, Trevor and his co-staffs attended the bank's Christmas party. However, they also visited several other areas before ultimately ending up in a nightclub. At around 3:30 a.m., Trevor left the club and walked to BIM headquarters, where he had coffee with a co-worker who was working late. Soon afterward, CCTV footage captured Trevor exiting BIM. With no cab service available due to an ongoing taxi strike, he had grabbed an umbrella from his workplace because there were heavy rains that night. The last sighting of Trevor was CCTV footage of him passing a security camera at a nearby Bank of Ireland ATM at 4:14 a.m. After that, he vanished without a trace. Even though the footage placed Trevor at nearby Baggot Street Bridge, a search of the Grand Canal failed to find his body. Nevertheless, there were a few intriguing hints. When CCTV footage initially captured Trevor arriving at their workplace, an additional man was seen standing near the back entrance. Yet this guy was not observed in the footage of Trevor exiting the financial institution. However, approximately 30 seconds after Trevor passed the ATM security camera, another man with an umbrella was seen walking by. Although the man standing outside BIM headquarters and the man passing the ATM can be two different people, neither has ever been identified. So no one knows if they have any connection to Trevor's disappearance. In December 2023, Mark Dealey revealed that a digitally enhanced video of his brother Trevor on Haddington Road showed nothing suspicious. The police investigated the man in black seen walking behind Trevor, interviewed him, and confirmed he was not involved in the case. This man was also not the individual who had spoken to Trevor outside his office earlier that night. Despite a high-profile campaign to locate him, Trevor Dealey is still missing. Nurin lived in the Wangsa Maju township of Kuala Lumpur and was born on the 11th of September, 1999. On the evening of August 20, 2007, she left her home to go to a nearby market and never returned. According to witnesses, an unidentified man forced Nurin into a white van. On the morning of September 17, a sports bag was found in front of a shop in Petaling, Utama. It contained the nude body of a young girl. She was soon identified as Nurin Jaslin. Nurin had died before she was found, and bruises on her neck seemed to indicate strangulation. It appeared that Nurin had been kept alive for nearly a month to be abused and tortured. When investigators checked CCTV footage in the area, they saw a motorcyclist dropping off the bag containing Nurin's body in front of the shop, which was closed at the time. While doing so, the man was speaking on his cell phone, but unfortunately, the image was too blurry to make out his face or the license plate on the motorcycle. 1 hour later, the CCTV showed a woman loitering in the same area before she was picked up by 3 men in a van. Once again, the footage was too blurry to obtain any useful information. However, none of the featured individuals seemed to acknowledge the bag on the ground, suggesting that they may have been involved in Nurin's death. On September 28, federal agents conducted a raid at a shop in Shah Alam, detaining 4 men and 1 woman, all aged between 27 and 35, on suspicions related to a murder case. The woman was released following an interrogation, while the men were initially remanded for 7 days. However, due to insufficient evidence, they were released unconditionally just 3 days later. Regrettably, the intricacies of this case remain unresolved, leaving many questions unanswered. In 2018, Nurin's father asked the police to reopen his daughter's case and use new technology to investigate it, hoping for justice. The disappearance of Stephen Kocher. Stephen Kocher was born on November 1, 1979, in Amarillo, Texas. He was deeply involved with the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and studied at Ricks College, now Brigham Young University, Idaho, after graduating from Amarillo High School in 1998. Later, he transferred to the University of Utah and earned a degree in communications. Kocher had also spent time as a missionary in Brazil, where he learned to speak Portuguese. In April 2009, Stephen Kocher quit his job in Salt Lake City as he found himself increasingly troubled by the frequent temperature inversions that winter in the Salt Lake City area. He then moved to St. George, Utah, but struggled to find a job for several months. Stephen abruptly left St. George on December 12, 2009, and the following day, he called 2 of his friends, claiming that he was in Las Vegas. There was no apparent reason for his trip, but his family believed that he might have been looking for a job. These phone calls were the last time anyone ever heard from Stephen before he mysteriously disappeared without a trace. His abandoned car was later found in a residential neighborhood in Henderson, Nevada, with wrapped Christmas presents that he had purchased for his family in the back of the vehicle. Investigators eventually discovered some surveillance footage of Stephen taken on December 14, 2009, from a camera at a residence in the Henderson neighborhood. The video showed Stephen parking his car, crossing the street, walking down the sidewalk, and then disappearing out of the frame. This was the last confirmed sighting of him. No one knows why Stephen parked his vehicle in this upscale neighborhood, which appeared to be an unlikely place for him to fall victim to a violent crime. His cell phone signal was picked up at various locations by a tower several miles away, but the signal died after 2 days. Some people have speculated that Stephen may have staged his disappearance to start a new life because of his employment and financial problems. However, there has been no sign of him for nearly 6 years. Kaylin Lauder. Kaylin Lauder was born on January 21, 1984. In 2006, she graduated with a degree in social work from Utah State University. On September 26, 2014, Lauder called 911, claiming that someone had broken into her condo in Murray, Utah, and she believed the intruder was still in the house. She didn't see anyone but heard them talking and yelled several times for the intruder to leave. However, police found no evidence of a break-in. Later that day, Lauder was caught on a surveillance camera walking barefoot in the rain outside her condo with her dog. She appeared to be having an animated conversation. At around 7 p.m., for an unknown reason, Lauder began to run, leaving behind her dog, phone, money, keys, and car. This was the last time she was seen alive. Lauder's family hired a private investigator to help search for her. 2 months after her disappearance, on November 30, 2014, her body was discovered in the Jordan River in Utah, 5 miles from her home. The autopsy was inconclusive and couldn't determine how she had died. A toxicology report confirmed that there were no drugs in her system. Lauder's family believes her death was not accidental and suspect foul play, as she had no history of mental illness. However, investigators disagree because the 911 call she made on September 27 was not the first time she had made a false claim. The previous day, she had reported a fight at a wedding that didn't happen, which has led them to believe she was showing delusional behavior. Kaylin Lauder's death remains a mystery, and no one knows how she ended up in the river after leaving her condo that day. In July 2014, Lars Mittink, a 28-year-old German man, traveled to Varna, Bulgaria, for a vacation with his friends at the Golden Sands Resort. However, his vacation soon took a mysterious turn. After a minor altercation with other tourists over a football argument, Lars was treated at a local medical facility for a ruptured eardrum and was advised by doctors to avoid flying. His friends returned home to Germany, but Lars chose to stay behind in Bulgaria to recover. He checked into a cheap hotel near the Varna airport, which was surprising to those who knew him. Over the next 24 hours, Lars' behavior became increasingly erratic. He sent frantic texts to his mother, claiming he felt unsafe and was being followed. His last communication was a disturbing message urging his mother to cancel his credit cards. On July 8, 2014, Lars was captured on airport security cameras entering the airport with his belongings. However, after consulting with a doctor at the airport about his ear condition, he suddenly sprinted out of the terminal, leaving behind his luggage. The airport cameras captured Lars running into a nearby forest, and he has not been seen since. Despite extensive searches and international media coverage, no trace of Lars has been found. The mystery of his sudden sprint and subsequent disappearance has baffled investigators and family members alike. Numerous theories have emerged over the years, including the possibility that Lars was suffering from a psychological breakdown, perhaps exacerbated by his medication, or that he was genuinely in danger from unknown individuals. However, no concrete evidence has been found to support any of these theories. The disappearance of Lars Mittink remains an unsolved mystery that continues to haunt his family and intrigue the world. What do you think happened to him? Share your thoughts in the comments below. 3-year-old Lena Sedar kill was last seen on Monday afternoon, between 4 and 5 p.m., in the 9400 block of Fredericksburg Road in San Antonio. According to San Antonio police, Lena was playing on a playground within her apartment complex when her mother left her briefly. Upon her return, Lena's mother was met with a devastating sight: her daughter was nowhere to be found. Despite the presence of other parents and children at the playground, Lena seemingly vanished without a trace. Her mother frantically searched the play area and nearby picnic tables, but her efforts yielded no sign of the little girl. With growing concern, she enlisted the help of fellow parkgoers, but none had witnessed Lena's departure or any suspicious activity surrounding her disappearance. Realizing the seriousness of the situation, Lena's mother promptly contacted the authorities. San Antonio police responded quickly, initiating a thorough search of the neighborhood. Despite exhaustive efforts and interviews with residents, there was no sighting of Lena or any clues to her whereabouts. As the investigation intensified, law enforcement enlisted the support of volunteers and expanded the search efforts to include nearby areas, such as the greenway near the corner of Babcock and Huebner Roads, approximately 2 miles from where Lena was last seen. Despite their exhaustive efforts, there was still no sign of the missing child. The following day, surveillance footage from a neighbor's security camera was released, showing Lena and her brother playing in the park, but it also revealed the heartbreaking moment when Lena wandered away from the safety of the playground and toward the street. In a testament to the community's solidarity, the Islamic Center of San Antonio offered a generous reward of $200,000, while Crime Stoppers pledged an additional $50,000 for any information leading to Lena's safe return. Yet, amidst the urgency for answers, law enforcement officers emphasized that the primary concern is Lena's well-being, urging anyone with information to come forward. As the search for Lena Sedar continues, the collective hope and determination of the community remain unwavering, fueled by a shared commitment to bring the young girl home safely. If you have any information regarding Lena or her disappearance, please contact the San Antonio Police Department at 12102077. Law enforcement officers hope someone will come forward simply out of concern for the child, rather than for the reward money. Matt Flores, a decorated military officer, had just started a new job in Silicon Valley with his wife Denise and their newborn daughter Danielle. However, on March 24, 1994, at 8:14 a.m., tragedy struck when Matt was fatally shot in the head as he exited his car in the parking lot of Applied Materials. Despite around 20 people being present at the time, no one witnessed the killer. Authorities were puzzled as Matt had no known enemies, and investigations revealed that he was likely the victim of a professional hit. Matt had parked his rented Chevrolet Corsica in an unassigned spot at Building 12 on Oakmead Phillips Drive. Unfortunately, the shooting occurred just outside of the range of surveillance cameras. However, footage did capture a two-door light-colored Ford Explorer with black trim passing through the lot multiple times before and after the incident. The Explorer's movement seemed suspicious, particularly its re-entry into the lot shortly before the shooting and subsequent hasty departure. It speculated that Matt might have been a victim of mistaken identity, but the full truth behind his murder remains elusive. Kendrick Johnson, in January 2013, in Valdosta, Georgia. Kendrick Johnson was found dead in his high school's gymnasium. The 17-year-old boy's death was declared an accident. It appeared he fell headfirst into a rolled-up gym mat and suffocated. An autopsy was carried out on Johnson's body to find the cause of death, which was concluded to be accidental, with investigators saying that he had got stuck in the mat trying to receive a shoe and suffocated. There is no evidence of bruises or foul play, but the bizarre circumstances of the boy's death raised suspicions with the family. Johnson's family had a private pathologist conduct a second autopsy. This time the autopsy report was different and was concluded that John had died from blunt force trauma. The autopsy also reported that the brain, heart, lungs, liver, and every other vital organ were missing. They had been replaced with crumpled newspaper. The owner of the funeral home claimed that organs were more likely destroyed through the natural process due to the position of Kendrick's body when he died. In November 2013, 290 hours of CCTV footage from inside the school was released to CNN following a court request, which shows Johnson entering the gym moments before he died. However, over 3 hours of footage was missing. Johnson's family strongly believes that he was murdered and that there was a cover-up by the local police department, but investigation pointed out there was no evidence of any foul play. There were strong arguments on both sides whether Kendrick's death was an accident or murder. Tell me what you think about the case. The Jameson family. On October 8, 2009, the Jameson family, which consisted of Bobby, his wife, Sherilyn, and their 6-year-old daughter, Madison, mysteriously went missing that day. The family traveled 30 miles from their home near Eufaula to a rural area in Oklahoma, where they were looking to buy a 40-acre plot of land. They drove their white pickup truck up to the isolated Sam Boys Mountains, but never returned. 8 days after they went missing, their truck was found abandoned on the side of the road by a Lauderdale County sheriff. Inside their locked pickup truck was their cell phones, car keys, and GPS system, and $3,200 in cash. They even left Madison's beloved dog, Maisie, who was on the edge of starvation. Police quickly launched a huge search operation, but found nothing. On the day before the disappearance, security cameras from their home caught them loading up their truck. Investigators saying that Bobby and Sherilyn looked like they were in a trance-like state where they kept repeatedly going back to their house and back to their truck over 20 times without even speaking to each other. On November 16, 2013, hunters found human remains in a wooded area nearly 3 miles away from where the Jamesons' pickup truck had been abandoned. The remains appeared to belong to 2 adults and a child. Months later, the remains were positively identified as Bobby, Sherilyn, and Madison Jameson. An autopsy was performed, but the remains were in such a bad state that the cause of death could not be determined. This photo is believed to be the last picture of 6-year-old Madison. The photo was taken in the mountains. He was found on Bobby's cell phone. The family doesn't believe Bobby or Sherilyn took the photo, as Madison appears to look terrified and isn't looking towards the camera. Bobby and Sherilyn had been displaying bizarre behavior prior to their disappearance, and there are rumors that the family was involved in drug dealing. However, police found no drugs in the home. Months prior to the disappearance, the Jamesons had become very paranoid and told some of their friends and family that their house was haunted and explained that they had seen spirits. Their pastor said in his statement that the family was at a spiritual war and they had seen spirits inside their home. Bobby allegedly asked the pastor if there were any special bullets that his family could buy so he could kill those spirits. A satanic Bible was found in their house after their disappearance. No one knows, though, how the Jameson family died. Some believe they were murdered. Some believe that the mother, who was suffering a deep depression, murdered her family and then committed suicide. There are even theories of the family getting lost, a cult sacrifice, a cartel killing. There are many theories about the case, but to this day, no one really knows what happened to the Jameson family. If you have any theories about the cases listed here, please put them in the comment section below. July 2019 was an exciting time for 23-year-old Kiara Henry. The young woman was known to be very outgoing, spontaneous, and adventurous. So, it was no surprise that she had booked an impromptu trip to Hawaii just by herself. The group of islands has many outdoor adventures that make it an excellent fit for solo travelers. But when Kiara traveled from her hometown of San Diego, California, to Maui that summer, nobody would have guessed that it would be the last time anybody saw her. On the 18th of July, Kiara checked into the Ashton Maui Hill Hotel, where she had made a reservation until the 21st. For the first few days of her stay there, Kiara enjoyed her time at the island, taking different tours around the area, one of them being a tour of Waianapanapa Park on the 19th of July. She also toured Wailele Farms on the 20th of July, as a part of a trip organized by Hike Maui. On the 22nd of July, Kiara shifted from the Ashton Maui Hill Hotel to another hotel in Kia. She was planning to stay there until July 29th. She had booked the flight back home on that same day. However, she would never board that flight. At around 2 p.m. on the 21st of July, Kiara rented a black Nissan from an establishment called Hertz Rent-A-Car. She rented the car at the Kahulu airport for one night. What happened next is a mystery to everyone. On the 23rd of July, the rental car was found at a gravel parking lot in Waianapanapa State Park by authorities. All of Kiara's personal belongings were found in the car, including most of her luggage, her credit card, and her identification. What authorities were unable to find in the car, however, were the car's keys, a small backpack that Kiara was known to carry, and her cell phone. When the mileage on the black Nissan was inspected, authorities were able to conclude that Kiara drove from the airport, where she had picked up the vehicle, directly to the park. They believe she most likely went hiking. The detail that terrified everyone was the fact that Kiara had neither answered nor returned a single phone call that she had received. All calls made to Kiara's cell phone were going straight to voicemail. It was when an employee of Hertz Rent-A-Car called Kiara's sister to let her know that Kiara was missing, that she knew something was seriously amiss. The fact that they had found the car abandoned, but Kiara was nowhere to be found, was extremely distressing. On the 26th of July, Kiara's sister reported the young woman missing. Her whole family held on to hope that somehow, Kiara would still find her way to her flight home on the 29th of July. Unfortunately, that hope was short-lived as Kiara did not show up for the flight. The last confirmed sighting of Kiara was on surveillance footage at the rental agency on the day of her disappearance. In the video, she can be seen speaking with a representative, booking her rental, and then leaving to the garage, never to be seen again. It was confirmed that the outfit Kiara was wearing in the video was found inside the rental car. At first, the Maui Police Department assisted Kiara's family in their desperate search and led the investigation. However, as time has passed without any trace of her and any new leads, the case went cold. Some have suggested that Kiara left of her own will, but her family doesn't believe those claims as she was extremely close to her loved ones. Furthermore, it seems very unlikely that she would have booked her flight back home if she just wanted to disappear. In addition to this, there has been no activity on her phone or her credit card after her disappearance, which is extremely unlikely if she left of her own free will. With the second anniversary of Kiara's disappearance fast approaching, her family still feels the pain of her absence and waits for answers. They continue to return to the island to search for her, and have since stated they will never give up until they find the answers they are looking for. Death of Alisa Sherman. In 2013, 53-year-old nurse Alisa Sherman from Beechwood, Ohio, was ready to start a new chapter in her life. She was getting a divorce, and even though divorces are not usually positive at all, she was hopeful for the future. On the 13th of March, she sent a message to her brother saying, "Trial in 2 weeks. Hopefully, there is life after death." Just 1.5 weeks later, she was dead. Having had children together, Alisa and her soon-to-be ex-husband, Sanford, had been married for almost 30 years. But by 2011, their relationship started to fall apart. Sanford admitted that he had been having an affair. And it wasn't even a brief one. The affair had been going on from 2006 to 2010. To Alisa, this might not have been a big surprise. She had even confessed to a rabbi that she had been battling and struggling with a very controlling, hurtful spouse for many years. But this time, she had gone through enough. On the 20th of June, 2011, Alisa finally filed for divorce. Her husband, however, was not the only one causing problems. Alisa's divorce lawyer, Gregory Moore, was a great example of a problematic person. Moore was notorious for asking the court to delay Alisa and Sanford's divorce hearing. It is believed that Moore even went as far as to report a bomb threat on the days when the hearings were scheduled to occur, to delay the proceedings. On the 24th of March, 2013, Alisa was supposed to meet with her divorce lawyer at the Galleria at Erie View in downtown Cleveland. Moore had sent a message to his client, asking her to meet him at his office so they could prepare for the trial together. Alisa just had to wait a couple more days, and she would be free from her unhappy marriage. But when Alisa was just a few steps from her attorney's office, something happened. She was suddenly brutally attacked from behind with a knife in broad daylight. Alisa's new life ended before it could have even started. It was clear that the killer had targeted her and wanted to ensure she didn't survive. Of course, the prime suspect, in this case, would have been her husband, Sanford. This theory was proved further plausible when an email that Alisa had sent to herself in 2012 resurfaced. In this email, Alisa documented her worries that her husband might try to have her attacked or killed. However, authorities did not find anything that would link Sanford to Alisa's death. There were a lot of suspicious things happening with Gregory Moore. He had texted Alisa that day before and after her death. In the messages, he indicated that he was in his office, but phone records analysis, electronic key card records, and witness statements showed he was not in the building. He even lied in his interview with investigators. If he had nothing to do with Alisa's death, why did he lie, and more importantly, where was he when Alisa was killed? Unfortunately, there are still no answers for that, but Gregory later pleaded guilty to giving investigators false information on the day of Alisa's death. Still, he has never explained himself or shared what happened that day. In the end, Gregory was sent to prison for 6 months for giving inaccurate information, which didn't provide any kind of closure to Alisa's family. One of the craziest things about Alisa's death is that the person responsible for what happened to her was most likely caught on surveillance tape. CCTV footage from the crime scene shows the perpetrator wearing a hooded winter coat, fleeing the scene of the crime. So far, the footage has not been helping authorities to find potential suspects in the case. It has been 8 years since Alisa was killed, and her family is still waiting for answers. They meet each year on the anniversary of her death and still pray that someone with information about Alisa's death comes forward. Emmett Valen. At about 8:10 a.m. on April 24, 2011, 69-year-old Emmett Valen entered his condominium complex located in the area of 2300 North Central Avenue with an unknown man. Valton and the young man walked side by side, first exiting the doctor's RAV4, then walking from the parking lot into Valen's apartment complex and into the elevator. 2 hours later, Valen's guest emerged alone. He took the stairwell back to the parking lot, where he casually stole Valton's vehicle. Police recovered the vehicle 3 days later, but despite the footage and a clean, bloody footprint lifted from the apartment, Valen's murder remains unsolved. Perhaps the most promising lead in Valen's homicide investigation was delivered by the victim himself. He was conscious when police first arrived and lived long enough to tell officers that he had picked up the suspect at CAS, a homeless shelter in downtown Phoenix. V was openly gay, yet somewhat private with his friends about his personal life. Friend Brad Stacy said Valton had never mentioned picking up strangers for romantic encounters, nor could he fathom that that would be a part of Valen's life. Police have no record of Valen using prostitutes. Still, the crime had sexual undertones. Around 45 minutes after the suspect left, Valen emerged from his apartment, bleeding from the head and with his pants halfway moved. A neighbor found him lying by the elevator and called police. Valen told investigators that the man had bound his legs and beat him until he was unconscious. He died shortly thereafter at the hospital. Robbery didn't appear to be the motive. There were no known items missing from Velton's apartment, and the suspect ditched the stolen vehicle nearly immediately. Security guards noticed the RAV for near North 35th Avenue and West Glendale Avenue shortly after the attack. However, police were not notified of it until April 27th. The video provided a passing depiction of the man. He was clean-cut, thin, and white, and is presumed to be no taller than 5 feet 9 inches. The suspect's face was somewhat obscured by pixels, and he never seemed to face the right angle, but police hoped that some items on him that day would help identify him. The man carried a tan messenger-style bag, as well as wearing a neon green baseball hat. One lead was eventually brought in for questioning, but police eliminated him after testing his footprints. Valen's home supplied police with plenty of potential physical evidence. Police submitted door handles, an electrical cord, and an empty beer bottle to the crime lab, but results either came back empty or inconclusive. Detectives are now looking to resubmit the beer bottle for more stringent testing. In a recent interview, Phoenix Police Detective Dominic Rostenberg said, "It's very possible that the suspect wasn't a local," stating, "Other than the video, we don't have anything on him." If you have any information regarding this case, or any other cold cases, police ask that you contact Silent Witness at 480-948-6377 or at silentwitness.org. "14-year-old Andrew Gostin bought a one-way ticket to London from the Doncaster railway station in 2007. In a suspicious turn of events, Andrew has never been seen or heard from ever again. Andrew was described by his family as a clever boy who loved going to school. In fact, he would often participate in the summer school program for gifted kids, where the curriculum would be far more challenging than usual. While he did have his own group of friends, he was not known to frequently meet them outside of school. His father later stated that Andrew was incredibly enthusiastic about going to school and furthering his education because he saw it as an important step toward creating a good life for himself in the future. While Andrew liked to be by himself, there was no evidence to suggest that he might have been dealing with either bullying or depression. He was incredibly close with his family, and just the day before he disappeared, he was up late solving puzzles and doing crafts with his father. In addition to this, Andrew's older sister was one of his closest friends. They would often listen to music together, as they liked the same bands. On the 14th of February, 2007, Andrew was described by his family as acting odd. It appeared as though he had woken up on the wrong side of the bed, and he was unusually ill-tempered. He reportedly left the house at around 8:05 a.m., and his parents assumed he was going to school. However, he took a detour, and instead of waiting for his bus at the bus stop, he went to Westfield Park, which was also close by. It is suspected that he was at the park, waiting for his family to leave for the day, in order to return home and change out of his school clothes. This theory is supported by CCTV footage from a neighbor's house, which shows Andrew returning home. He then changed into a pair of black jeans, with a black slipknot t-shirt, and training shoes. He is also suspected to have been carrying a small bag with his wallet, keys, and a portable PlayStation console. He was also likely wearing a black watch. All of his remaining possessions were found exactly where they were supposed to be, and he had not taken a jacket with him. He had also left his passport and the charger for his PlayStation behind. The £100 that he had saved up thus far had also been found in his room, so his father does not believe he intended to stay out for very long. At around 8:30 a.m., he was seen on the neighbor's CCTV once more, and this time, he was heading toward Westfield Park. This would have been the route he would have had to take in order to reach the Doncaster railway station. Here, a woman working at the ticket counter came forward to report that she sold Andrew a one-way ticket to London. She remembers the interaction because she had asked him if he wanted a return ticket as well, since it would only cost him 50 pence more, but Andrew refused the offer. He was captured boarding the train to King's Cross station at around 9:35 a.m. A woman who was reportedly sitting next to him later came forward and stated that he was traveling alone and spent most of the journey playing games on his PlayStation. At 11:20 a.m., he was seen on CCTV footage at King's Cross station, where he exited the station and was never seen again. Investigators were contacted at around 7 p.m. when his family had grown increasingly worried. It was initially believed that Andrew either went to London to meet an online friend or that he had gone to see one of his favorite bands performed live. However, neither of these theories has ever been substantiated. There have been no viable leads about Andrew's whereabouts since then, and his family is still searching for answers. 7 years have passed since Pamela Butler vanished from her Northwest DC home under suspicious circumstances. Her body has never been found, and there has been no arrest related to the case. Members of her family have come to a sad conclusion that she most likely is dead. Butler's brother, Derek, stated that he believed his sister would never disappear on her own, believing that someone must have killed her. Wanting answers, Derek was actually the one who first discovered the strange disappearance. The doors of his sister's home were locked, the alarm was off, and the house was a mess. This led Derek to believe that foul play was involved with his sister's vanishment. Pam's family would then look through the surveillance system installed in her house after she went missing. She could be seen on tape entering the house 2 days before Valentine's Day and was never seen leaving. The surveillance system showed Pam's ex-boyfriend coming and going from the house at odd hours and for several days. One blind covering the windows was also raised, leaving Pam's brother perplexed, as she was not known to raise them to keep privacy. It is also the only side of the house that was not under video surveillance. Derek suspects that this is how his sister's body was carried out of the house. Her ex-boyfriend, who was presumed to be a major suspect, said that they had broken up and he was only removing his belongings from the house. Police did question him several times, but he was never charged. Once more, there has been no arrest connected to the case, and it continues to be unsolved over 7 years.